add everything. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, guys. So I'm waiting for your questions. While I'm waiting for your questions, let me share with you my free cheat sheet. If you haven't got this already, I really recommend to get this free cheat sheet. So the link is going to be in the comments, just like this. So you can see the cheat sheet. It's called 7 Mixing Mistakes you can fix now. It's free. The link is in the comments, so you can get it for free. And okay, so waiting for your questions, guys. Once you're ready, I'll let you know, and we will start. Okay, so let me know. What do you want to learn today? Vocal mixing, kick and bass mixing, maybe mastering, anything, just anything. I want to know saturation, have no knowledge. Okay, that's great. Okay, that's great. So today the first question for today is going to be about saturation. So what saturation does? I think I have answered this question, but like it might be a little bit hard to actually to find it. So maybe.
Oh yeah, we should make.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's skip this, guys. I'm going to do this from scratch. So basically, saturation. Let's talk about saturation. Saturation. So basically, saturation, if you think, let's do like this. So this is going to be your main harmonic, okay? Let's pretend that this is going to be harmonic. Okay? And this is going to be sine wave, okay? Sine wave. So this is without any saturation, okay? So this is no saturation. Saturation, I'm going to make it short, okay? And this is what is going to happen when we are going to apply saturation to the sound. So let's say this is going to be the sine wave, okay? So from that, it's going to look like this. So now, guys, take a look. So it's going to look like this. We're going to have the main harmonic, just like this. And after that, we're going to have other harmonics, okay? Just like this. So this is what saturation does to your sound. You have the main harmonic. It's this one, the main one, okay? Main. And we also have those small harmonics, okay? It's called new harmonics. Harmonics. So common use of saturation is to glue sounds together, okay? Glue sounds, just like this. It's the first one. The second one is going to be add warmth, maybe and power as well. Okay. One more use of saturation is that we can also add effects, texture, okay? And with saturation, we could also reduce dynamics, okay? Because it works in a similar way as compressor. So I'm going to draw more of those diagrams. So let's reduce peaks, okay? So I'm going to give you a couple of more examples about saturation. So let's say that we have a sound which looks something like, I don't know, maybe like this, okay? So that's going to be no saturation, and it's going to look like this when we apply saturation. So it's going to be more, I'm going to draw like this. So we're going to cut the peaks just like this, if you can see. Okay, just like this. So this is what's going to happen. So this sound is going to look something more like, okay, like this. So basically what we did here, we eliminated those peaks, okay? So that is exactly what's happened, okay? So once again, we've had the peaks, And with help of saturation, we eliminated those peaks, and now it looks something more like, you know, like this, okay? More like this. So this is what happens when you apply saturation to your sound. So let's do a quick recap now, guys. So if you imagine that this is going to be your sine wave, okay? This is now saturation. When we apply saturation, that's going to be the main harmonics, okay? This one is the main one. And when we apply saturation, you add those additional odd or even harmonics, so it's going to depend to the on the saturation type, okay? But the main concept is that it adds new harmonics. So saturation is basically harmonic distortion, okay? And we could use saturation to glue the sounds together, add warmth and power, add effects and texture, and reduce peaks. And one more common use how you could use saturation. So let's say it's going to be two examples, okay? So we could use saturation on, let's do like this, saturation, going to shorten it a little. So the first use is going to be on the group. Okay. It's going to be group. And the second one is going to be on the individual channel. Let's call this insert, just like this. Okay. So in general, it's going to be two types of, like, two scenarios that you're going to use saturation. So you can use it on the group and you could use it on the insert channel as well. Okay, guys. So now, if that makes sense, please let me know in the chat if you understood everything I've talked about now, if it makes sense, and if I can continue, and if you have any other questions. So if that makes sense in the chat, please let me know. You can answer it makes sense, you can answer yes, just show me that you understand, guys. And if you have any other questions, okay? So let me know if that makes sense. Waiting for your answer so we could continue with the next thing, okay? Looking at the chat and waiting for your reaction, guys, okay? Once you're ready, let me know, okay? I'm waiting for your comments today and now. So let me know in the chat if I could answer your question, okay? Waiting for your.
We have.
Yeah, we have. Oh, I can't see. Maybe something.
Have,
oh, okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. Yes. I see. Maybe it's some lags. What is your approach to preparing and mixing instruments and drums to achieve a commercial master with a volume of around -8 loops? Okay. So yeah, I have some lags. So let me update the page. Okay. So my approach, did you guys take the notes? Can I remove this page? Let me know in the chat. Maybe you want to take some notes of that. Once you're ready, let me know, okay? So we can remove this page, okay? Any reaction in chat? Any comments? Yeah, we have a lot of questions, so that's great. That's great. Okay, guys, so I think that's going to be enough. So let me check your comments. Okay, what is your approach to preparing and mixing instruments and drums to achieve commercial master? Okay, that's a good question. So now I'm going to take this question. So how to prepare your track for loud mastering. So this is a good question, and I have an answer. So the very first thing is to make sure that you do group processing. So let's say we can do like this. So usually I would have different groups, okay? So groups. And it could be, for example, like vocal, drums, etc. Okay, just like this. So my approach when I want to do a loud master, okay, so loud mastering. My approach is, the first thing I usually do, I put saturation, okay? So I put saturation, exactly as I shown you, saturation. And with saturation, I want to reduce dynamics, okay? Reduce peaks, and glue sounds. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, saturation. After saturation, what you can do, you can apply some heavy compression. Heavy compression. And it's going to be parallel. It's going to be parallel processing. Parallel processing. Just like this. Okay, that's the second one. After saturation, heavy compression in parallel processing, what I usually do, I do EQ boost. EQ boost with Pultec. Pultec is an EQ, so you can Google for Pultec. And with this one, the purpose is to add power. Add power. And finally, after that, it's a little bit like simplified because I need to use the paper. But after that, after everything, so saturation, heavy compression, EQ boost, I do EQ cut to clean everything. Clean the sound. Okay, so now I'm going to draw some boxes to show you how it is going to work. So let's use red color for some contrast. So the first thing is usually going to be saturation, okay? Saturation, okay? After that, I would use compression, just like this. Compression. And let's do short it a little, parallel. Okay, so saturation, compression in parallel. So I compress a lot, but in parallel, okay? After that, I do EQ boost with Pultec. It's an analog style EQ. EQ boost, Pultec. And after that, I would do EQ cut and clean all of the mud, all of the unwanted stuff that I might have with this processing. Okay, so it's going to be EQ cut. So, and the thing that will help you to make your master loud is going to be, the first thing is saturation, okay? So if you remember the previous slide, saturation and compression, those two tools are going to compress your mix. And by applying saturation, heavy compression on the group, so this is all goes to the group, okay? You can also use this on the individual channel, but this one is going for buzz processing, okay? Just like this. Okay, now let's check the chat and let me know, guys, if that makes sense. So I can continue with that, but basically saturation and compression on the groups and on the individual groups and individual channels as well. So if you use saturation, like, to reduce the peaks, okay, reduce peaks and glue sounds together because you reduce the dynamics. So once again, guys, so this is what is happening with saturation, okay? You cut the peaks. Let's say this is your sound, and you do like this. You eliminate those peaks, and you can apply saturation to group and insert channels, okay? So from sine wave, we go to this. So from this to this, more harmonics, more rich sounds, warmth, power, reduce peaks, and glue sounds. So by doing this to your groups, you can eliminate those unwanted peaks and make your masters pretty loud. So really the secret is to loud masters is to balance your levels, okay? That's the crucial thing, okay? I'm not even talking about that because it's the number one thing. Then saturation, then heavy compression to the groups, okay, and to the individual channels. So when you apply that, it's already enough to make your masters pretty loud. You can also try to use like a little bit of saturation, maybe really subtle compression on your mix bus, but I usually just apply that to the group. So now let me show you one more slide. So for the groups, or maybe let's check the chat. Let me know, is that analog processing is better than digital processing, or is it they both just have uses? Yes, I'm going to save the live. I could make some sick ass shit with the way, okay, with the way he says. yeah, that's really the thing. Okay, so let's go back. Does that make sense, guys? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Please let me know in the chat. Can you use any other EQ than Pultec since a person? You can Google for analog obsession 3 VST Pultec EQ compressors, etc. So just Google. They have amazing plugins. So does that make sense, guys? Did I answer your question about loud mixes and stuff like that? Okay, let me know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Actually,
sounds good. Thank you for your. Yeah, you're welcome, Eric. Saturation limiter, because limiter. No. Saturation works a little bit different. It's a little bit hard to explain on the paper. Basically, saturation is more that like it's soft clipping, but it's not exactly the same as compression. Compression, if you do too much of compression, you're just going to ruin the dynamics. Okay, but with saturation, you are adding those new harmonics, okay? That is what is happening to your sound. So if we go from the sine wave to this, that is what is happening, okay? And we cut those peaks. So saturation is like soft clipping, okay? Compression, it's a little bit different. It's not as saturation. It's sometimes it's a bit hard to to explain on the paper, but compression, it's a little bit like another vibe, okay? It's a little bit different. You can try it yourself. Just try to use saturation, for example, on the sine wave, on the drums, on other sounds, and you will actually see the difference, okay? So it's a little bit another taste. Maybe someday I can show you my Ableton. Maybe someday during this week, maybe we can do this, and I could do one more like Ableton session where I share my screen, how I process my sound. So if you guys would be interested, let me know in the chat if you would like to see like my workflow, how I mix my sound. So I could do a little bit of this mixing session in Ableton, as well as the whiteboard thing, because I really enjoy this whiteboard when I explain things. Okay, so any other questions? Let me check.
no, we just have comments.
Saturation, yes, saturation is harmonic distortion, some kind of, yes, exactly. So some kind of like soft clipping, soft knee compression. It's best to add glue, but the right compression will reduce the peaks, not cut peaks. You still want, yes, exactly. So if you combine saturation and compression, you can get a really good sounding mix. So too much compression is not too good. Too much saturation sometimes is good. So it really depends on the sound you're looking for. Okay, so yeah, let me check the chat once again. I would love to join. Yes, okay, guys. So we could do. Could you do your vocal too? Yes. I can show you some vocal. Okay, guys. So let's do like this. I'll let you know. Probably not tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be in the studio, so it's going to be more of this like presentation like I do now. But maybe on Thursday, we could do both. We could do this presentation on the paper, and I could do one more Ableton live session where I'm actually going to show you the process, how I mix vocals, how I do stuff. I think that would be really cool. Okay, guys. So, do you have any other questions? Does that make sense? Okay, so let me know in the chat if that makes sense, so I can continue. I'm going to reload my page because for some reasons it just just some kind of lags. Okay, so looking at the chat, and waiting for your comments. Okay, so let me check the comments. Any other questions? I'm here for your Ableton live session. I use it for yeah, of course. I'm gonna be using Ableton, but everything that I'm talking about here, it's not like tied specifically to Ableton Logic Cubase, because those are the concepts that you can use in any DAW. So it doesn't matter if you use Ableton or FL Studio, as long as you understand the concepts, the fundamentals, you can use any software that you prefer. Okay, so any other questions, guys? Let me know when you have any other questions, so we can take those and answer on the whiteboard. Okay, any questions so far in the chat? Okay, guys, so while I'm waiting for your questions, once again, if you just joined the live stream, those of you who just joined, make sure to download this free cheat sheet. So the link is going to be in the comments. It's free. So just 7 mistakes that I did in my music journey. So if you avoid these 7 mistakes, you can progress and learn mixing and music production much faster. So no more promo. Let's do the questions. Okay. So those of you who are interested, you can download. Okay, questions. Thank you, man. Your explanation is clear. Compression for vocals. Andrew Motes, can you maybe give me some more details? Because that's maybe you can give me some examples. Do you mean like how to compress vocals? Yeah.
And
okay.
while waiting.
Heavily compressed mixing won't reduce the dynamics. No. What I'm talking about here, this is on the groups. Okay, so maybe I could use the same paper. So we could do like this. So everything that I'm doing here, this goes to, for example, this is gonna be the group number 1, like low end. So this is like the kick, kick bass, kick plus bass. Okay. Just like this. For example, we could have another group which is going to be like drums. Maybe we could have another group like vocals. And maybe last group is going to be instruments. Okay, instruments. Okay, and Okay, that's great, guys. Let's go step by step. I will answer every single question. Don't worry about that. Okay, so everything that we do here, saturation, heavy compression, EQ boost, we are doing this to the groups. Okay, you can see the buses, so the instruments, the vocals, the drums, everything. But when it comes to the mix bus, okay, mix, bus. So for the mix bus, you can also do like, basically it's master channel, master channel. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of mix bus processing. So everything that we do here, like the saturation, heavy compression, EQ boost, EQ cut, I do to the kick, then bass, my drums, my vocals, my instruments. But for the mix bus or the master channel, I don't do so. No processing. Okay, so this is why you won't have to worry about the dynamics, because we're not processing the master channel, but we do process the vocals, instruments like synthesizers, guitars, pianos, like everything that you have inside here. Instruments, vocals, drums, low end. But since we do this in parallel, and if you know, parallel is, let me draw this for you. Parallel is 50%, it's going to be dry signal, okay? Dry, and 50% is going to be wet. So basically, when you apply parallel processing, whether it's compression, saturation, or any other effects, you keep the 50% of the original. So you keep the dynamics, you keep the original like sonic characteristics, but at the same time, you mix, for example, heavily compressed signals. So you keep the original, but you also mix the wet signal. So this is why we shouldn't worry about the dynamics on the mix bus or the master channel. Every processing you do on the groups, and you do on the individual channel inside those groups. Okay, so let me know if that makes sense, and let me check the chat. Okay, let's go step. What are your thoughts about alternative approaches in terms of making space for sounds being in there? Okay, that's a good question. I will answer this. Okay. I can turn knobs and make it sound good, but I don't know exactly what it is. Okay, yeah. I'm just, yeah. Thank you guys. Okay. A lot of questions. So let's take this one. What are your thoughts about alternative approaches to EQ in terms of making space for sounds being in their own? So the thing with when it comes to EQ, it's very, very simple. When you have good sounds, okay? So for example, let's say that you don't have a lot of elements, so we can do something, let's imagine that this is going to be like the main element. Let's do like this. I'll try to represent this on the paper. So this is going to be, for example, like the vocal, okay? Vocal. And when we don't have a lot of things happening, so for example, we could have, for example, the kick and bass. That could be the kick and bass. For example, yeah, like this, okay? Kick plus bass. Maybe we can have drums, okay? So for the drums, and maybe other elements, okay? It's a little bit confusing, but let's say we have the vocal, we have the kick, maybe we could also have the drums and other instruments, okay? So basically, when you don't have a lot of stuff going on, you shouldn't really do a lot with this. But let's say that we have a lot of sounds in our mix, a lot of things are going on. So for example, we could have the vocal. Let's compare this. So if you have the vocal, if you have like the guitar, if you have like maybe a synthesizer, and you have a lot of stuff that is going on in your track. So basically, like maybe like this, maybe like this, maybe like this. And let's say that this is going to be like the vocal. That is going to be the guitar. And the thing is, the problem with that approach is that because you have so many like guitar, vocal, synthesizer, drums, basically what you're trying to do, you are trying to put a lot of sounds. This is going to be your mix. Okay, mix. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to put a lot of sounds in a box. So let's say you already have this much happening in your mix. And when you do too much elements, what is happening is that you try to put like that much inside your mix, okay? Like this. And that is the problem. So usually, it works like this. You need to have good sounds, good arrangement, and also, yeah, good sounds, good arrangement. So those two, if you have good sounds and if you have good arrangement, so basically, when you arrange your sounds, you can, you can do something like this. So let's say we have one sound. After that, we have maybe like another sound, okay? And after that, we could have like another sound, but so whatever, like kick, bass, kick, maybe this could be like the guitar. Maybe this is going to be the vocal, okay? So when you arrange your track in a way that every single sound has its space in the mix, usually you don't have to do a lot. So for the EQ, let's say I need to EQ this vocal, and since it has a lot of space in the mix, since it looks more something like, more something like this, and we have the vocal, okay? You can see that we have a lot of space, and because we have so much free space, usually I would go for a really subtle, maybe like 2-3 dB EQ cut, okay? EQ cut. So when you are making your tracks, when you have, the main element and all of the other elements, they support the main one. They don't fight for space. If you look at this picture, if you try to put too much in the mix, the elements, they are going to fight for the space. But when you arranged your elements in a way that every single element has its space in the mix, like there's a logic when you arrange, you don't really have to do a lot, okay? So like 2-3 dB of EQ cut is usually, it's enough. You don't have to do a lot, guys. If you have good sounds, good arrangement, you don't have to do a lot of things. So that's usually my approach. I don't usually cut a lot. And for example, when you feel like your vocal, like it has some muddiness, maybe it has some other problems, just use the volume fader. Make it quieter and see if that's helped. Because when you make the vocal quieter, you will also remove the low end. A volume fader, it's also an equalizer. It's a really powerful tool. So don't forget about I'm sorry, not the equalizer, but the volume fader, okay? So let me check the comments. If I could answer this question. So yeah, okay, like what is compression, why you use it, okay, peak limiting, was your approach to find resonance frequencies, a lot of questions. Okay, so I can take the next one. So Ryan Waldron, let me know if that makes sense and if I could answer your question. Yeah, what is compression, how to work? Okay, so now let me explain the compression. So for the compression, maybe I could do like split this one. So compression. Let's talk about compression. And for the compression, let's use red color. Compression. So why we need to use compression? Because, for example, for the vocal, let's take the vocal compression and let's do vocal. Because the vocal, your vocal, it doesn't like, it's not flat, right? So it doesn't look like this, okay? That's like the ideal shape. That's like ideal dynamics. And like it's not it's ideal because you don't want your sounds to be flat, right? And when you work with vocals, so the vocal, it will usually look more something like, we'll have some peaks, maybe something like this, maybe something like this. So the purpose of compression is to, let's say that you see that this peak, and this peak, okay? So the purpose of compression is to reduce those dynamics so we have a consistent, okay? A consistent level, consistent dynamics, okay? So we want to, with compression, we can do like this, okay? Use compression. So when we use compression, we want to turn this into something more like this, like more flat, okay? We want to squeeze it and make it flatter, and because we reduce the dynamic range, the sound, it becomes like louder. But in reality, it doesn't become louder. You just reduce the difference in those peaks. So let's say that the difference in those like 2-3 dB, okay, like 2, or maybe we could say like 4 dB, okay, 4 dB difference, okay, and we want to turn this into more something like this, something like this, something like this. So we can have a consistent level, okay? Here is the difference, but we want to cut all of the peaks, but like roughly cut. Like I'm not talking about cut it. So when we reduce, we put this in some kind of like of a box, okay? And because we focus on this, like we squeeze it, okay? We squeeze it like this, squeeze. Not actually squeeze, but like, how to say, compress. Yeah, okay, compress. So instead of the 4 dB difference, now we have a consistent level because we've put this in the box, okay? Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments, because sometimes it's pretty hard to explain compression just like on the whiteboard. But basically, yeah, we turn this into more something more flat, okay? It becomes flatter. We have less peaks, we have less dynamics, and it becomes flatter. Maybe I could give you one more example. So if you look here, let's use red color. So let's say that we have, this is going to be 0, okay? And this is going to be whatever. And we have the RMS, we have the main level that is RMS, just like this. And this is going to be our RMS. So this is a consistent level, but the peaks, let's say we have the peaks at minus 12, okay? So this is what is happening. We have the peaks, so this is the consistent level, okay? But the peaks, they peak at minus 11. So we still have some dynamics here, okay? So I'm not going to add anything. So from that, we want to go to something more like that. We want to have consistent levels, okay? So just like this, it's going to be like this, it's going to be 0. So the RMS, it's going to be the same. RMS is going to be the same, but we can do like this. Okay, so once again, RMS. And the peaks now, they are going to be less, okay? So let's say that this is going to be minus 18. Okay, you see that the difference that is from here, like let's say that this is going to be like minus 36, minus 36, okay? And the difference between minus 36 and minus 12 is big. But let's say here we peak at minus 12, okay? So the difference from here, from how to say, not a lot of space here, from here to here, it's bigger if you compare this to this, okay? And now if you look at the picture, you can see that this is what we've had, and this is what we've got. So we compressed the signal. We put this, like, we limited it and put this in like roughly like in the box, okay? So that is basically what is happening. So you have the consistent level and you have the peaks. So for example, peaks, they could be at -12. And with compression, we turned this into something more like this, okay? -12, and this is like -36. Okay, so that was complicated. Let me know in the chat how you guys feel about that. Okay. So, oops, any comments? Sample select, yes, exactly. Compression takes the sound above threshold and pushes it back. Yeah, okay. So, let me know, guys. Yes, it helps a lot, understood properly. Okay, guys, that's great, that's great. See a lot of comments, so let me have a drink a little bit, because I'm, it's a bit dry in my throat when you talk a lot.
Yeah, I guess we have 2 questions.
Okay, so let me check other questions too. What is your approach to finding?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the compression we took.
This one.
Gives peak limiting. Peak limiting. I mean, peak limiting. I mean, peak limiting is basically the same. It's basically the same. As compression, but the only difference with compression and limiter is that a limiter is a type of compressor. So for example, a brick wall limiter, it doesn't let's say that compression, like how to draw like a knee. Let me think. So for example, if that is going to be the curve for the compression, let me Google this. Compression. I just want to know how it looks. Compression knee. Oops. Compression knee. So I could draw this on the paper. Okay. So compression knee audio. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically, let's say that this is going to be the curve for the compression knee, okay? So that's going to be the knee compression. Compression knee. So it's pretty soft, as you can see. But when we talk about limiting, so let's say we can have some sound that is going through that thing, okay? But when it comes to brick wall limiting, it's more like this. No sound can pass through the limiting, okay? Limiter. So that is basically the only difference. Limiter is also a type of compressor, but it's like it's a brick wall. Nothing can go through this thing. But when we talk about like, you know, about just compression like this, like I've shown you, the sound is not as heavily affected by this compression knee. But with the limiter, it's just like a brick wall. Okay, that's the difference. So I think maybe I didn't understand the peak limiting, but hopefully you can understand the difference between compression and the limiter. So let me check other comments too. Okay.
Next one was this one.
What is your approach to finding resonant frequencies in vocals, drums, etc.? Okay, let's take this question. So my approach is when I found, so usually resonances. How to remove, how to find resonances. This one is a little bit tricky because a lot of beginners, a lot of people think that, let's say that we have a sound, so maybe it could look something like, I don't know, maybe something like this. So this is going to be the bass, and here we might have some resonances, maybe some resonances here, and whatever. So people may think that those are the resonances, okay? So we can do like this. Resonances. But in reality, those are not really the resonances, especially when it comes to the vocals. I see a lot of people with the EQ, they do like, they literally do like, you know, like this. Cut, 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 and like cut. But, so basically this is gonna be EQ cut, EQ cut. So what people try to do, they try to do all those EQ cuts, but please guys, don't do like this. Don't do like this to your sounds. When you hear something, for example, your hat, when you hear the resonance, what you can do, just make it quieter. Use your volume fader, because in most cases, when you hear those resonances, you can just try to make the sound quieter, and it will already, sometimes it will remove the resonances. So a lot of times when you try to search for those resonating frequencies, a lot of times it's just the harmonics, because in nature, in the world of sound, it's not really like a common thing to have those resonances, like really. So my approach, I use my ears, and to find resonances, you need to learn the basic, how to say, bands. So it's the low end. Okay. Then we could talk about mids. And we could also do the top, high frequencies. Okay. So when you learn the basic fundamental, those bands, so from the low end, it could be somewhere from 0 to around like 300, and it will depend. So from the mids, it's somewhere up to roughly like 3K, like 3K, and from 3K to 20K. And to, once again, to
Our Swedish friend.
oh, hello. Yeah, we are, hello. Welcome to the live stream. So today we're not finished yet, so I will be answering some questions. It's good that I'm glad to see you here, so that's cool. So when you try to find those resonating frequencies, make sure to learn how the frequencies sound. So if you hear, when you train your ears, oh, let me try and draw this on the paper. Usually the frequency, so basically the same thing. So around 300, around like 3K, and around like 20K. So that's going to be the 0. That's going to be roughly like 300. That's going to be like 3K. It's not like exactly as it would be on the equalizer, just so you know what I'm talking about. 3K and 20K. So usually when we work with vocals, with the drums, a lot of frequency, a lot of those like unwanted, harsh, unpleasant frequencies, they usually are located in this area. So from 3, maybe sometimes from 2. So from roughly from like 2K to 7K. So this is the most problematic area. So roughly from 3K up to 7K, this is where a lot of those resonating frequencies are. So what I really recommend doing is that learn the frequencies, learn how the frequencies sound. So my approach when I try to EQ a sound, so let's say that I have the vocal and I need to EQ the vocal before I do first. So if I use an equalizer, so if I hear that I have some problematic areas in this area, I do my EQ first, and after I did my EQ, I listen. So this way, what is happening is that you train your ears, okay? You train your ears, you learn how the frequencies sound. Because if you try to EQ while you are listening, your ears will get used to the sound, you get tired, and you'll get used to the sound.
30 people.
Oh wow, 30 people. Hello guys. Those of you who just joined the live stream, I have made a free PDF, so you can get this for free. I'll post the link in the comments. So you can get this, and that's great. Wow, that's super amazing. So it's the free PDF guide app. So the link is in the comments. So let's focus on the questions, okay?
Yeah, you should check questions.
Let me check. A lot of questions. So I think
Yeah.
finding resonating frequencies, sample selection. Okay. Compression take. Yes, love this. Please do this. Yes. I will go live tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow. Yes. Do you have Instagram? Yes, guys. You can if you want to add me as a friend, just visit my profile. I have the links to my YouTube channel, to my Instagram, to my Spotify, to music. So if you want to connect, that's fun fact. Human ear. Yes. Okay. Do you give? Yes. I do give private classes, and if you're interested, if you guys if any of you are interested in private classes, you can just reach out, send me a message, and we can sort this out for you. And also, we have a private student group, and let me post the link as well. So if you want to work with me more, like personally, if you want to have exclusive live streams like I do now, I will post a link to our private student group that we have, so you can join. So any other questions, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check. Compression tape. No, that's not the question. That's not the question. No. So okay. So is everything clear? With this one? Okay. Let me. Sample selection is major. Yeah. That's not a question. Okay, guys. So I think I've answered everything.
We had this one, but what is your mindset?
Oh, sorry. What is your mindset when you're choosing samples? Oh, that's a good one. Sorry, I missed this question. Okay. So my mindset is that really, for example, I'm going to give you my approach how I do. I am a huge fan of ethnic music, like ethnic instrument. I play 7 ethnic instruments. And my approach that, for example, my music, let's do my music, how I select samples. So my music. So we are now working with sample selection. So this is how I choose my sample. So it's up to this. So it's up to the style you make. I make house music. I make like tech house, like deep tech, minimal. So the first one is style, okay? The style of music you like. The second one is going to be the taste, okay? Style and taste. I think those two are the most important things that when it comes to selecting the sounds. So for my music, what I usually do, I like selecting organic sounds, okay? So I'm a huge fan of organic sounds. I use a lot of organic sounds. For example, organic sounds. So it's really up to the taste and to the style. I don't think that there are a lot of other things that affect the sound selection that much as the style, as the taste. Those are the very important ones. So for example, if like when I make my music, I like a lot of organic sounds. Maybe I like mixing. I like mixing genres, mixing different sounds. So let's do like this. So for example, if I make house track, I could easily take something from techno, from psytrance, maybe even from dubstep if I feel like that, okay? So my approach is that you should listen to your intuition, your inner feeling, how you feel, how you want it to sound. So just think, like, what emotions does it like evoke in you? What you think about when you make a track? How do you want it to sound? If you have this feeling, you will be very, it will be super easy for you to select the sounds. But one more advice, don't be afraid of mix genres. Okay? But this is my approach. I'm basically talking about myself, but hopefully you will get some value out of that too. Okay, organic sounds, mix genres. Listen to your listen to to your intuition, okay? Listen. Let's just intuition. So always listen to intuition, okay? Intuition, mixed genres, and that's basically it. Also, a very, very important part of sound selection is your experience. Because in the beginning, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to select the right sounds, but focus on experience. Because with the experience, your taste is going to evolve. So you will get used to that and you will be able to select really, really good sounds because you've trained your ear, you have a feeling for the right sound, okay? So really, just not to make it super, super complicated, that's basically my approach and how I do it. So it's intuition. I always listen how I want the track to sound. How do I feel? What's on my mind, emotions, all of that. Because it will really, really affect the sound. Because sometimes I can make electronic tracks. Sometimes I can grab my guitar, I can grab my flute, I can grab my shakers, drums, and it's another feeling. So it's really, really, it affects that a lot, okay? The next one, it's for me, okay? If you do like this, it's great, but I do organic sounds and mixed genres. So I would say that if we skip the organic sounds, the most important thing here is actually your intuition, okay? So maybe I could intuition, experience, and mixing genres. The top 3 things that you should consider when you are, let's do like this. That's sound selection approach. Okay, just like this. So sound selection approach, style, it depends on the style, on the taste. Also, the more experience you have, the easier for you is to find the sounds for your track. Then you can mix genres. For example, if you do techno, try something from house, try something from psytrance. What I want to teach you guys is that don't be afraid to express yourself. Don't be afraid to do something that is unusual, that is something that not a lot of other people do. I'm not telling you to, do like crazy things, but I like the rule of, it's a really great rule actually, when it comes to making music. I like the rule 60-40, okay? So let me introduce this. I'm not the author, by the way, but it's something that I agree with. So 60-40. When it comes to making music, we could do something like this. So 40% it's like trends, okay? Trends. And other 60% it's your style. 60% your style. Because the problem is, if you focus too much on the trends, you might lose your creativity, you might not feel inspired because it's not the thing that you enjoy. But when you mix 60% of your own music, of your style, and 40% of the trends, it's a good combination when you can sound commercial, but at the same time you can also introduce something different, give people some new experience. So don't be afraid of experimenting, doing crazy things sometimes. If you follow this rule, you will be able to make some great music, okay? So I think that was a really, really great explanation. Any other comments in the chat?
Yeah, can you explain Midside EQ?
Midside EQ. Okay, maybe let's take this question as the last one. I think we've been live streaming for a pretty long time, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and we have low battery.
Okay. So maybe like one more question. Is a lot of questions?
No,
just one.
Last.
Okay. So, let's take the last question for today. I think, guys, I can use this as a PDF, some kind of scan it, do photos of that, because that's really cool explanation.
Maybe I can
like a present, like a presentation, because we have a lot of those.
Can you please postpone my?
Yes, sure.
notification.
Okay, so the last question for today, guys. The last question for today, like I'm sweating literally when you talk a lot, but I enjoy that. I enjoy that. Thank you, guys, for those of you who came to the today's. Oh, it's a little bit. Okay, so Midside EQ. Midside EQ. Basically, Midside EQ is. Can you please maybe stand properly? Okay.
Maybe you can take a clip.
Yeah, I think I could use it. Okay, it's a little bit complicated, guys. I hope you don't mind. So that's going to be the last question for today. But don't worry, tomorrow we're going to be live streaming. I'm not sure about the time, but for the Midside EQ, Midside EQ. Okay. So when you have a signal, you have the side. So let's say that we're gonna have a signal. We can have just the mono. Okay, so that's gonna be the mid. And other part, it's going to be the side. Okay. It's going to be the side, and that is going to be the side. So basically, the side, you can see that the mid is like it's in the middle, okay? It's in the middle, it's strictly in the middle. And the difference, basically, how does the stereo work? So basically, stereo is difference between left and right channel. Okay, so basically all of the information on the sides, because this one is a little bit different than this one. So for example, that could be the left and that could be the right. And because we will have different sounds, not really like the different sounds, but the information on the left side, it's a little bit different than to the right. This is what makes this wide stereo image. And basically what you're doing with Midside EQ is that you can work with the mid. So for example, let's say that we want to how to draw that. This is a little bit more complicated. So let's say that we have the sound, okay? So maybe we have some information here. So this is gonna be like the bass, and it's in mono, right? It's in mono. And maybe we also have some information here. Let's say that this is going to be our guitar. And if we want to make our guitar like wider, what we could do, we could use Midside EQ. So basically, the only difference between the stereo EQ, like the one EQ that you use like almost like in any project, the only difference is that you can work with the mid and with the side like separately, okay? So you have more control over the sound. I think that would be a really good idea for the next Ableton session. I'm thinking on Thursday. Let's do, guys, on Thursday, like the Ableton session, when I'm gonna take your questions, show you something and explain the concept, because sometimes on the paper a little bit more complicated actually, because you need to hear the sound. So if you want to make your guitar wider, you can, for example, you can affect this part with stereo. So this is gonna be side, okay? Side, boost. And because you boost the side, it will become wider. But if you also want to reduce the side, okay, you want to make the guitar more in mono, you can cut the side, okay? Maybe you want to cut the side, cut, side. And by affecting different channels, for example, the mids, you can make the guitar wider, or you can make it more narrow, more in mono. That's basically all of the difference. So you can work with the mid. Everything that is in the mid, it's in mono, it's in the center. And everything that is like on the left and on the right, that's the only difference. Okay, so I hope I could explain this one, because this one is a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I think we can end for today. Today was an amazing live stream. I want to say thank you to all of you guys who came today, who did write the comments. So I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as well. So yeah, don't forget to grab the free cheat sheet that is here. So 7 mixing mistakes you can fix now. If you want to learn mixing, make sure to check the comment section. I've posted the link to this free cheat sheet a couple of times. So yeah. Any other comments? Everything clear? So I'm not gonna take any questions.
Yeah, comment.
That's all my knowledge on mixing and mastering for a while. Yes. You're welcome. Yeah. I will be live streaming tomorrow, guys. So yeah, those of you who wants to add me as a friend, who wants to talk with me, just add me, shoot me a message, and we'll talk. Okay. So thank you very much, guys, for this wonderful live stream today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. So I'm trying to experiment with the times, and on Thursday we're gonna have 2 of those live streams. So the one is on the paper, and the next one is going to be on Ableton. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for joining today's live stream, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, have a nice day, evening, or morning. Talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm.